Ionia Yasuo has been a solid comp so far, but it gained even more power with the recent patch. And in this video, I'll teach you how to master this comp by going over the build, what items to make, and which augments, legends, and portals to take, how to play the early, mid, and late game, and then I'll go over some in-depth positioning examples. The build is pretty linear, as we always want 6 Ionia on our team. This is to get the Ionia bonus on both Yasuo and Shen, which gives Yasuo Omnivamp and gives Shen damage reduction. Yasuo is our main carry, and Shen is our main tank, and they become even stronger when these bonuses are activated. The last 2 units you add in will be 2 challenger units the majority of the time, which makes your level 8 board look like this, where we add in Kai'Sa to be a secondary carry and Warwick to be another frontline unit. There are not really any other variations that work unless we get some specific augments, and we'll get into that later in the video. Yasuo is our main carry, so we prioritize making items for him first. He has one core item, and that is a healing item. The best one is Hodge, as we already get a decent amount of healing from the Ionia trait, and Hodge gives us extra damage with the healing. BT is the second best option if you can't make Hodge. The shield is very nice, and some might argue it's even better than Hodge, but our second and third items for Yasuo will use up swords as well, making it very hard to get 3 good items for Yasuo. And if you can't make Hodge or BT, you can always make Gunblade, as it will be good enough as a healing item. The second item for Yasuo wants to be a defensive item. This is either Titan's Resolve, QSS, or Edge of Night. All these will help Yasuo stay alive longer in the frontline. The best one is Edge of Night, as it allows Yasuo to drop aggro and clear off any debuffs, while also giving him more attack speed. QSS is the second best, as it allows Yasuo to keep going even if he gets CC'd, and this item also gives Yasuo some needed crit chance and attack speed. Titans is the third best item. It's not bad, but it's definitely overrated on him, as you don't become much more tanky until you have your 25 stacks, and if you get CC'd, your Yasuo will usually just get bursted down before that even happens. The third item for Yasuo wants to be a damage item. This can be IE, Giant Slayer, Deathblade, Guardbreaker, or Last Whisper. All these will do well on Yasuo, but pay attention to the lobby, as in some lobbies Last Whisper will be better, and in other lobbies Guardbreaker or Giant Slayer will be better. But again, the main focus is the first and second item for Yasuo. And we also need items for Kai'Sa and Shen, so you will build whichever one of these you can as Yasuo's third item. After you have made Yasuo items, you want to make Kai'Sa items. She wants AP and 1 healing item. The best items for her are JG, Hodge, Giant Slayer, Gunblade, Static Shiv, Guardbreaker, Morello, Deathcap, and Spear of Sojin. And after you have made Kai'Sa and Yasuo items, we want to make items for Shen. He wants standard tank items like Sunfire, Warmogs, Stoneplate, Redemption, Protector's Vow, Bramble, and Dragon's Claw. If you get a Spatula, you want to make Challenger's Bat. This allows us to drop Warwick for a better unit like Cassante. Put the Challenger emblem on Ahri to make her cast more often. The other option is to make Ionia Spat, as it allows us to drop Karma for Cassante or another unit. Note that Ionia emblem on Kai'Sa is not great, as you are stealing the Ionia bonus from Shen or Yasuo, and the bonus is only 33% extra attack speed, which is pretty bad compared to the other items we can put on her. So put the Ionia emblem on a different unit than Kai'Sa. With this comp, we want to ideally get to level 8 so that we can 2-star our forecasts and also hit some legendaries. And we also want to have 3 items on Yasuo, Kai'Sa, and Shen. Therefore, we want to pick a legend that helps us achieve this goal. The best ones are Ezreal, Ornn, and Draven. Ezreal and Ornn give us more items, and Draven gives us more loot, which is both gold and items. I prefer Ezreal, as the extra items will often allow me to become strong in the early and mid game, but the other 2 will also work fine. The best portals for this comp are anything that helps us get to level 8 faster, or gives us more items. The best ones are Stillwater Hold, Nox Correa, Shifting Sands, Bandle Cafeteria, the Sump, the Lavender Sea, and Yorick's Graveyard. Moving on to the best augments for this comp, they are Challenger Heart or Crest, Cybernetic Bulk, Ionia Heart or Emblem, Sentinel Spirit, Gifts from the Fallen, Long Distance Pals, Job Well Done, Tons of Stats, Small and Medium Forge, Unified Resistance, Red Buff, Idealism, Social Distancing, Know Your Enemy, and Not Today. I mentioned a lot of augments there, and the best ones out of those are Sentinel Spirit, Gifts from the Fallen, Long Distance Pals, Tons of Stats, Social Distancing, and Idealism. And if all that info was a lot to take in, then check out the cheat sheet for this comp. It's available for patrons and YouTube members. Here is the quirky cheat sheet from a previous set, so you know what to expect for the Ionia Yasuo cheat sheet that is available right now. The best early game boards for this comp is to have Samira with Challengers, or to have Jhin with Ionia. There aren't any other great openers, but Zed carry and Tristana carry can also work, but try to hold on to at least 1 copy of Aurelia during the early game if you're not playing her, as she is both a Challenger and an Ionian, and she can be hard to hit at later levels. And once we've found our comp, we need to make items. You want to avoid making healing and defensive items for Yasuo, as they tend to get little value in the early game. The only exceptions are Hodge, which gives us more damage, and Titans, which can be strong on melee carries in the early game. You can also make Kai'Sa items or tank items here too, but try to avoid building ones that disrupt Yasuo's items. The best ones to build are Static Shiv, Deathcap, Warmogs, and Dragon's Claw. From here, you can play the early game however you want in terms of streaking, and if you want to learn more about how to play the early game, then check out my guide where I go in depth on that subject. After the Crux round, you should have more direction towards a comp, and the general requirements to play Ionia Yasuo is to have built one Yasuo item, and to have at least one component for another Yasuo item. Additionally, we really want to have 3 Ionia and 2 Challenger active already on stage 3-1, as we cannot be offered Challenger or Ionia specific augments on stage 3-2 if we don't have those traits active on stage 3-1. If you are weak in the mid game, you should wait with rolling until level 7 with this comp. This is because all our main carries are forecasts, and those are very hard to hit at level 6. Instead, if you are lost streaking, you will look to go level 7 on either stage 4-1 or 3-5. Whichever it is, depends on how much HP and gold you have. Most of the time, you will look to all in on stage 4, but if you are going all in on stage 3-5, you're looking to stabilize off of either 6 Challenger or 6 Ionia. Once you get to stage 4-1, the late game begins. Here you will need to assess the situation to check if you can go for a fast 8, or if you have to roll at level 7. Ideally, we are able to fast 8, but we will take a lot of damage on stage 4 if we make the wrong call. The general guidelines to roll at level 7 are your 70 HP or lower, you're lost streaking, the people you're fighting soon are rolling down as well, or if you cannot go level 8 on stage 4-2 next turn. When rolling at level 7, it's very similar to rolling on stage 3-5. You want to end up with either 6 Challenger or 6 Ionia. From here, you will often donkey roll until you have either Yasuo or Kai'Sa 2-star, or you will eco back up and push to level 8. And once you hit level 8, your final board will look like this if we hit no emblems or hearts. There is nothing to change here, as we want Ionia bonus on both Shen and Yasuo, but if we get +1 Challenger, then we want to drop Warwick for a better unit. The best ones to add in are K'Sante, but also adding in Sion or Aatrox will also work greatly. If we get +1 Ionia, we will drop Karma, and add in either K'Sante or Rise depending on what his spell is in the current portal. If you make it to level 9, you can look to play 6 Challenger if you have the emblem, and if you have an Ionia emblem, then you will look to add in another legendary. If you are able to hit 9 Ionia, then definitely go for it, as it has one of the highest win rates in the entire game, but it's incredibly hard to pull off, as you need level 9 in addition to 2 Ionia spatulas. In order to understand the positioning of this comp, we need to take a closer look at Yasuo's spell. Yasuo targets the farthest away within 3 hexes. If we look at this example, here Yasuo will walk up to the Sejuani, and now the Aphelios will be within 3 hexes of Yasuo, which means he can ult onto him. But if we put Yasuo here instead, then Aphelios will not be within his range, and we are wasting our ult on the front line. General positioning with this comp looks like this. We want Yasuo close to the front line, but not so close that he will take initial aggro. You also want to have him closer to the sides so that the enemy carries are within a 3 hex radius of him. You want Ahri and Karma to occupy both corners so that they are farthest away CC and damage bait. And you also want to leave space on both sides of your front line so that Yasuo can walk up. Now moving on to some in-depth examples. Against the first guy, the big threat is Baron and Kai'Sa. Since Baron deals splash damage, we want to spread out our team. It will be hard to take out the enemy Kai'Sa as she dashes away all the time, so we should just focus on keeping our Yasuo alive. Therefore, as long as he doesn't get targeted by Bel'Veth, Yasuo, Kai'Sa, or Kassadin at the start of the fight, we should be in a good spot. Against the second guy, the big threat is Katarina and Darius. Again, we want to spread out against this player to avoid splash damage from Katarina. We also want to make sure that Yasuo is not getting targeted by the enemy Darius or Azir at the start of the fight. Kai'Sa is also safe from getting hit by Sion's CC spell. Against the third guy, the big threat is Azir. We place none of our units on the edges of the board to make sure that K'Sante has to ult twice before knocking any of them out. We want to have as few units as possible next to Nasus, as he gains more stats from his ultimate based on how many adjacent enemies there are when he ults. We are also trying to funnel Yasuo into the backline, and Kai'Sa is on the left side to avoid getting ulted by Jarvan before she can cast her spell. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned something, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you want cheat sheets for any of my comp guides, they're available for you to members and patrons, and the links to join those are down in the description. And if you want to get better at TFT, join the Discord. We got over 9,000 other players there who are hungry to climb. And if you want to get coached by me, the information is over on the Discord server as well. So take care and see you in the next video.